Two powerhouses in the world of self-help, motivation, getting your life sorted out, goddammit. That's what we're talking about here today. We have Mr. Tony Robbins, old banana hands himself, shallow Hal reference for you young folk, and Jordan Peterson. Straighten your room up, dammit. Clean out those drawers and get those crusty socks down into the laundry bin. Giving some life advice today on the topic of how to get the drive back that you used to have.
Or even people just not where they want to be. They have no compelling future. Anyone can deal with a difficult today if they have a compelling tomorrow.
Yes.
A compelling future is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because without that, you can have an aim, by the way, but if it's not compelling, it's not going to do much.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you demonstrate in the physiology of your lectures that compelling aspect is possible and real.
Yes.
Right. And
but I also get them to experience it once again.
So right off the bat, that's one thing you notice. People will tell you, oh, I've got a goal. I want to do this. Or I want to do that. And it's just something that sounds good in the moment. They don't actually want to do it or apply the effort required to do so. Because otherwise they would be doing it. They would have it. I know so many people who said, oh, I want to be an author. I want to be a writer. I'm going to be a writer. Yeah, me. I said, oh, really now? Oh, so what have you written? They said, oh, well, I've not written anything, actually, but, I had some ideas and I was putting it together. And I say, so you've not actually written anything. How you call yourself a writer, but you don't actually write anything. It just sounds good.
If they just watch me, I'm not here to be their role model examples. I'm not here to be your guru. I'm here to be your friend. I have some insights. You have insights. We can learn from each other, right? But the idea of getting in a state of mind where you're in a heightened state of consciousness because your energy increases. Think about it. When your energy drops, usually negative thoughts grow with that pretty massively, right? Yes. Self-negative thoughts about society. As you raise the energy level, it's like plugging into a computer. You have the greatest computer, but not enough electricity. But if there's full electricity, there's power there. And most of us have gotten adjusted to a level of energy, especially post-COVID, that we don't even realize because we're like fish in water. It has dropped massively. When I walk around into companies, that's why engagement became...
So Robbins has always been big on this sort of thing here, the energy. He's always doing those stand-up and shout at his seminars and whatnot, that's just his shtick. It's one type that you can use, but that is what he likes to lead with.
So important to me. There's just not the same level of engagement, and no one's trying to deliberately do it. They were conditioned for 4 years to sit still in front of a computer and do anything, and many people before that weren't doing anything. It just magnified it. But when the energy increases, that's my first job, your consciousness increases with that frequency of intensity.
When you said memory, okay, well, there's a physiological explanation for that. Okay, so dopamine does two things. It produces that feeling of enthusiasm.
Yes.
So it produces that feeling of reward, but that's not all it. Imagine that there's a positive outcome and that produces some enthusiasm. Okay, now imagine that there's a chain of neurological events that led up to that positive outcome.
Yes.
Okay, what dopamine does is encourage the neural systems that were active just before that positive event occurred to grow.
Yes.
So now that means
you're creating more wiring.
And you're strengthening what.
So to dumb it down here, I'm seeing the little infographics and definitions come flying at you there. Basically, if you feel good after doing something, your brain tries to connect the pieces, the puzzle there. So good, we did this. That felt good. Let's do some more of it. And it tries to establish that pattern by giving you these receptors in the brain, dopamine hits and whatever else.
Whatever connections were used to.
Right.
So
going from dial-up to
if you're increasing the energy and you're simultaneously getting people to configure their goals, and those two things are happening at the same time, that should increase the probability that the goals that they adopt will be instantiated permanently into memory. And then it's also not exactly the kind of memory that you would call to mind to talk about. It's the kind of memory that you see the world through.
Yes.
So that's that's procedural memory. It's a completely different kind of memory.
I get it.
It's the kind of memory so let's say you practice applying a certain framework of interpretation to your circumstances.
Yes.
Okay, that practice reconfigures procedural memory, and that's literally that's.
So he's there once again, trying to smartify all this stuff by again saying, you can program yourself having positive outcomes that you don't necessarily have to go and share with everyone else, but you internalize it and your brain keeps naturally leading your body to try to go more. And the same can be said about bad habits forming here. Addicts, drug addicts, alcoholics, whatever else. That sends enough positive receptors to the brain, despite any sort of bad outcome that may be accompanied by it. It has enough positive feelings in the moment that they keep coming back to it, regardless of the negative. It doesn't outweigh until you get that's called the rock bottom, when you finally hit low enough and the negative just outweigh everything completely because you've torn up your life with it.
It's the rewiring of the system through which you view the world.
That's correct. And when you have a new view of the world, you come up with new meanings. And meanings, as you know, we both know, your maps of meaning. My entire life has been, I remember reading Man's Search for Meaning. I'm actually making the film. And it was one of the books that influenced me the most.
Great book, by the way, from Concentration Camp Survivor. For those of you who don't deny it anyway, Victor, it's a good book on there. You should at least read the summary on it. I know you're all very busy watching YouTube shorts and handsome bald men spouting off some life advice, but should you ever find the moment of free time, I would highly suggest checking it out.
Most, because the ability to find meaning, even in the most difficult time. And Viktor Frankl, to me, is just a godsend to this planet. Most people
it's a great book.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's great.
If you haven't read it, please, whoever you're listening, read it. Or anybody's
That's
ever in a
Man's Search for Meaning. Yes, read that book.
It's incredible. But the point of your meanings change, your focus and your meanings change when your energy shifts. And so it's so fundamental to bring that energy up. And most people have no reference for it in their body. If you go to a concert, I remember Pat Riley came to one of our, who owns a piece of the Miami Heat. He was an amazing coach. If you're not familiar with the NBA basketball, one of the winningest coach in history. Good friend of mine, known him for 30 years. And he came to one of our programs and he said, Tony, this is like the 7th game of the NBA championship, but it goes on for 4 days and it's 13 hours a day.
Right.
Tony talking about his goddamn seminars again. Trying to build them up, get some customers. Everything he does is, of course, salesmanship. He's very great at it. I mean, I have read his stuff, watched his videos and things for years now, but I do recognize it. He's selling it. Now this other famous guy said my seminars were so great. He's selling the product, whatever. He hands out some good advice along with it, so we can't fault him for trying to drum up a bit more business here. But he does have that electrifying sort of seminar style where he likes everyone to stand up, move the body around. It's not more of a passive, but Peterson, for the most part, is purely intellectualized. Aside from cleaning your room, if you don't take that metaphorically, he likes to sit back and have you relax and think. Intensive mind study. Whereas Robbins there likes to get a little physical, likes to move you around, shout, jump, walk on hot coals and all that good stuff. So it's a little different styles in here, but kind of the same end goal in the mind.
Right.
So that vibrancy, and most people at the game are cheering at times and not. This is an experience in your body. That's why I do the number of hours. That's why it's immersion. That's why it's multiple days, 4 days or 6 days. And that's why it has the lasting impact. But you're right. The dopamine circuits are actually creating, what's the white matter in your brain? The myelin, right? Creating the myelin.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
Hope and excitement are wonderful things, but you need competency as well. And in order to have that, the hope can get you started, give you the drive, the vision, the aim, but you've got to have the execution. You have both the strategy and you've got to have the execution that's practiced in your nervous system.
So let's talk about that because...
And on that note, Robbins is all about that initial drive. He's kind of a dopamine hit himself here. He likes to inspire and motivate. Realistically, that is kind of a relatively easy part of the equation, I would say. How many of you little doofs out there, highly qualified individuals now, but how many of you late at night will be scouring YouTube, maybe TikTok, you find some motivational videos popping up on there, and you find, oh God, you're watching this, oh, yeah, that's me, my life, oh God, I could do this, I could turn it around, I'm going to do that, yeah, I'm fine. They flash a few quotes up on screen. You feel the passion, the vigor, the life force return into you, and you are inspired in that moment. Do you go and do anything? No. But late at night, you think, yeah, tomorrow, I'm going to do it. I'm really going to do it, guys. I'm going to take off tomorrow. I'm going to change my whole life. So that energy, I call it the late night vigor that you experience. It's kind of Tony Robbins' whole shtick on the matter. He likes to give you that in the daytime and for thousands of dollars.
You talked about eliciting motivation over a long period of time. So I'd like to know more about
or I would even say the word, if I may, drive.
About 20 years ago, Tony Robbins
and they
taught
always
Hugh Jackman
have
how to reach the pinnacle.
These little things that pop up on here.
They
always have words that people know: discipline, motivation. And he's like, oh, no, you got to be a little against the grain here to make it stand out. Motivation, no. It's not motivation. It's drive. I teach drive. Others, it's not motivation. I teach discipline. Yeah, discipline is more important than motivation because motivation comes and goes. Discipline is what stays. So they'll do a little reframing of it, try to make it sound like they've got a new angle, and your little ears perk up. Not motivation. Drive.
It's like a warm bath. You should probably take a bath, but it doesn't last, right? You should still do it. But drive is like, everyone is motivated. If you're overweight, you're motivated to eat, right? Come on. I want to find out what drives you, because if we unleash your drives,
what drives you towards the right aim.
That's right. What is it that will unleash you? That's what
the cynical side, he's trying to figure out what drives you, what motivates you, so he can cater his course and his marketing team can hone in on what you will respond to and pay the big bucks for. That's cynical. I'm not saying he does not have good information, but I'm being realistic with it here.
This experience is about. That's different than just being motivated.
Okay, so let's walk. Okay, so I have an exercise that people can do online called future authoring, and
I just want to point that out right there. See, Robbins likes a little more abstract. So does Peterson when he's talking about religion and other things he's being quizzed on. But for this particular time, Robbins likes that more abstract, not motivational, but driving. And you see Peterson, he tries analytical and moves back. Okay, so what does that look like here? What are we looking for here?
One of its steps, and I'd like you to tell me how this compares to what you're doing in your seminars, in your events. So it's a conditions of satisfaction exercise, or it's a meditation and contemplation exercise, or it's a prayer. You could think of or a request for revelation. But here's the idea. So it's
please.
You imagine for a moment that you could have what you wanted and needed in 5 years. Okay, but there's a condition. You have to know what it is, and you have to specify it. Okay, now then the question would be, well, how are you going to discover that? Yes. And the answer is, you ask yourself. It's like, okay, like what would, it's like the Viktor Frankl scenario. Even hypothetically, what would get me out of the bed in the morning on a very, very difficult day?
Yes.
Like,
that is quite a difficult point for many people here. It's not only in how do you accomplish it, but it is in the perhaps much more strenuous of what should I accomplish here? That's what it is, really. A lot of people, if I guaranteed you an outcome, said, if you work hard for this amount of time doing these things, and at the end of it, you will get this. It's guaranteed. People's success rate would rocket right up. It would rocket right up here because you're working towards something you know is going to happen. Where if you are indecisive, you're trying to piece something out a little farther ahead in the future, you don't know if it's going to happen, if it's not going to happen. And so that alone, that notion that I could do all this effort and get nothing for it is greatly limiting to a great many people, because it's hard to be motivated or have the drive when you are uncertain. But to Peterson's point here, you have to have something at the end of that. Nothing is ever going to be guaranteed to you. But if you have nothing at the end of this road you are starting to trek down, then what could you possibly hope to get? There's nothing on the horizon for you.
what could I imagine
That's
could
the thing.
come
We'll
to
get
me
you
in
up
my
late,
life?
get you up early. Make you feel fully alive.
Yeah, well, what would make you persevere in times of trouble?
Exactly.
It's even a more direct question.
Yes.
Okay, so...
And by the way, I find, tell me if the same for you, it's not just the aim or objective, it's strong enough reasons. In other words, somebody say, I want to make $1 billion, but they don't do it. And they even vision, they get excited about it, $1 million, whatever it is. I want to have 3 perfect children. I want to write a book, whatever. The secret is reasons come first, answers come second. Once I know what I want, I got to figure out why.
Yes.
Because purpose is stronger than object. So the object may inspire you, but what's going to keep you going is strong enough reasons when it's tough. What are the reasons? Okay, I want this money. For what? Well, I want to provide a home for my mom. Well, that's very different than I just want to have this pieces of paper with pictures of dead people on it, right? And people say...
And that changes over time. It does. It really does, because you can feel, like I said, the nighttime vigor. You can feel fired up. You can feel passionate about this sort of thing here. And then the reality sets in and you think, God, I don't want it that bad. I mean, it sounded, mom getting a nice house sounded good, but when I'm living in a dump, do I really want to sacrifice and do all that for my mother? I mean, her cooking wasn't that good, goddammit.
I want money. They don't want money. They want an emotion. They want an impact. They want security, or they want freedom, or they want to be able to contribute, or they want to do something they think money will give them more choices on, right? They don't want the money. So I'm always trying to dig underneath to figure out what is the
that's the substructure.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
That's the surface desire.
Right.
And many people focus on the surface desire, not knowing enough reasons to follow through. That's why New Year's resolutions don't work. 91% of them, I don't know what the latest statistic is, people don't follow through after 3 weeks. By the time they're hearing us speak, if they had New Year's resolutions, they're gone.
The real crux of the matter here is people just don't have that much in the way of actual wants, of needs and desires. Yeah, they have the superficial, got to eat, got to have that. Then maybe they want to lose a little bit of weight, 5 pounds, and they gain it back because the effort is not worth the end result. And if it was, they obviously would be doing it. So that tells you right there that the average person just does not value that sort of thing. And I don't know if it is a purely genetic component. A lot of times you see people and they'll be getting praised and lauded. Oh, look at him. He did this. He's been working 60 hours a day for the last 50 years. And I wonder, do they cultivate that, or is it simply genetic? And the more I look around, the more people I see over time, I think the genetic component is hugely underrated across every aspect of life. Now, just as someone may not be able to become the fastest runner in the world, they can always improve their time, improve their speed, to where even a subpar athlete, someone who's no good, could train and be better than the average. They could try to make top 20%. And realistically, if you can make top 20% in pretty much any endeavor, whether that is financial, relationship-wise, a sport thing, if you can make top 20%, which is, I'm going to argue, it comes easy to some, depending on their genetics. But I am going to argue here that if you surely dedicated yourself to the goal of whatever realm we are speaking of here to get in the top 20%, it would be doable for the huge majority of the population. 20% is not that great. If you look at the income disparity from the top 20% to top 5%, then the top 1%, they're going to be millions, huge billions at the top point, whatever 1% gets into. So the top 20% is, you could be having that as a living. That could be your job. That could be your passion. You could have the relationship. You could have all these things, just top 20%, which is not even that good. It is not that good, you fools. But it is attainable, and that's what I want the takeaway message to be here, that you don't have to be the top 5, top 1%. That is going to be genetically inclined to you or not. Sad to say it, but just as not everyone can have a face this beautiful, like I am at least top 2% when it comes to looks, just naturally. I mean, I don't take credit for it, but I will accept the rewards that comes with this handsome face. So having said that, just aim for top 20%. Your goal doesn't need to be, I have to be the world champion when you're kind of a diddly little wimp. But you can get top 20%, and that can become very, very good to you in life, from finances to relationships, family, sports, activities, hobbies. Top 20% will get you to a livable zone across any endeavor. Now, you may not be in the very top tier, and that is something you'll have to accept and perhaps change your goal. If you want to find something that you can actually get higher than the top 20% in, you need to adjust in there. So anyway, that is my prattling on. Doing my sales course. Well, actually, I thought about making a sales course, but then, something came up and I didn't have the drive to do it. I didn't clean my room in time, so I didn't have the availability. But if I ever do craft up a course here, you will be the first to know, and I will link it down below for an overpriced but very fun seminar. Charge, that is. Anyway, Ghostmas is going to go out and get myself a little protein milkshake, something like that. A little tasty thing after all this yakking on here. So, till next time, friends, let's get out there and get some work done. Top 20%ers. Or better. You can't all be top 2% right here. See you later. How do I end this damn video?